Hello, it's 10 p.m. in Accra and midnight in Lusaka, Zambia. This is News at 10 live from the News Hub in Kanda. You can also hear us on 3FM 92.7 and on the TuneIn app on your mobile phone. We're also streaming live on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. Let's first start with today's news highlights. Artisanal miners in Ashanti region say they'll petition the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II over what they claim is government's intention to collapse their business. An executive member of the Small Scale Miners Association, Frank Osei, described the clamping down of their activities as a recipe for disaster. The police have visited the crime scene at Nkonya 6 days after the killing of 3 persons in cold blood. The team of police experts was led by the Director General of Police Operations, Commissioner of Police Christian Tete Yohonu. On a total bauxite export of $41.05 million for 2015 was not captured in the Auditor General's report. This came to light when officials of the Bank of Ghana appeared before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. Meanwhile, chairman of the committee, James Kluje Avedi, says the committee cannot prosecute persons found to have misappropriated public funds, however, has teeth to bite. He says persons found culpable are subpoenaed by Parliament for action to be taken. Those were our major news highlights. Up next is the big one. Welcome back. Now, angry youth of the New Patriotic Party in the Bawku West district of the Upper East region have vandalized their party office following the appointment of one Madam Victoria Ayamba as the district chief executive of the area. The youth, in their protest, vandalized office chairs, tables, including posters of the president and member of parliament for the area. Images you're seeing in the background is news is coming in. Angry youth of the New Patriotic Party in the Bawku West in Zabela in the Upper East region. I've seen there vandalizing party office following the appointment of one Victoria Ayamba as chief executive. Right. So that's the situation in Zabela, as you can see, and you may well know that the president is expected to be making announcements of the appointments of his MMDs anytime from tomorrow. So let's quickly run you through some of what you were expecting for the appointments. For Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, we're expecting Musa Superior to be named as the MC of Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, and then and already named and approved is Mohammed Sowa, who is the Accra MC for Accra Metropolitan Assembly. Let's take you through other nominations expected. Anthony Sam is expected to be named, and already named, I beg your pardon, Anthony Sam, second Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly, and Osei Esibe has also been named and approved by the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly as their chief executive. Right. So out of the 216 assemblies so far, only 4 have been named. And so let's speak to a local governance expert, Cheba, who is joining us on the telephone lines now for discussion on this. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, good evening, my brother, and thank you for the opportunity.
I know 216, only 4 named. The president still has time, but local authorities need to function. Do you think I don't know what to call it, delay, but the slow pace in releasing these nominations, do you think it might be having a negative effect on the running of these local assemblies?
Well, thank you very much. Greetings to your terrorist viewers. I believe that as of now, there has been an official statement from the Office of the President, which was issued, I believe, 3 days ago, that latest by tomorrow, the names would be out. So that situation of delay might have been assuaged, would be assuaged with the announcement, and wouldn't have the situation persisting again. Indeed, if the delay persists over a longer period, it will certainly have some consequences on the development of all the assemblies that have no MMDCEs,
right,
because of the peculiar rules and functions that are assigned to MMDCEs in this country.
So let me take you back to what we just saw, the chaos in Zabilla in the Upper East region, Bawku West district specifically, where angry youth who are against the nomination of a particular person begin to vandalize public property, burning down things. This is something that we totally discourage as developing democracy like ours. Do you not think that this could be attributed to what I could say are delays in coming out with names?
Well, to some extent, one can draw such conclusions, but we have to weigh such conclusions against the backdrop of the fact that the president also ought to do due diligence in the selection and subsequent nomination of persons, to represent him in the district. We should not forget the fact that the president is just one president, and he has the sole prerogative under Article 2431 to appoint 216 MMDCs across the country, and it's a very tedious job, and that is supposed to be performed by he himself. He has to design his mechanisms for meeting the constitutional obligation. We also have to weigh it against the history that we have. We have had about 3 transitional periods from one party in government to the other. If you weigh it against the previous ones, I believe that we cannot put our foot on the pedal to say that the president has made. Because in 2009, as of May, June, lots of MMCs have not been appointed. But of course, the consequences, we can foresee.
I know that you may perhaps not be comfortable in dealing directly with what is bubbling, what appears to be simmering tensions in the Bawku West municipality, but we need to condemn this absolutely. Do you not think that this has come about as a result of persistent pressures that are coming to bear on the president from party members who prefer one candidate to the other?
Yes, I have no option than to agree with you. Like I stated earlier on, the president has the sole prerogative, but the president cannot be the 216 MMDAs in this country. So he has to devise a means of at least getting some basket of names. And I believe that historically, the practice has been that presidents allowed their parties at the constituency levels to do some receipt of applications and shortlisting of names for his attention and consideration. That has been the practice all over the years. And this involvement of the party activists perhaps have created an erroneous impression on the minds of party activists that once the president allowed them to play a role in the selection process, then automatically their preferred choices ought to be appointed by the president. But we should also not forget the fact that across the political divide, there are factions in the party, especially in the NDC and the MPP. And each faction will want to push its candidate to that topmost position for all.
Mr. Chairman, for talking about these factions that you're making reference to, the critical issue is that, I mean, from tomorrow, out of 216, we only have 4. So if, for example, 212 are expected to be named, do you expect that these factions that are within the ranks of the parties will raise their ugly heads for all the situations across the country? That will be chaotic.
Well, the situation is very disturbing, very worrying, and very unfortunate. But I think that it should not dissuade the president from carrying out his constitutional duty. If he is prepared to announce the names, he should go ahead and announce them. Because if you have 212 MMDC to nominate, and let's assume that you have about 10 flashpoints, I don't think that's even though it's a worrying development, that necessarily affects the appointment of the large segment of the nomination. The president should go ahead and do the nomination. If there are flashpoints, eventually the party and government would have to manage the areas where there are flashpoints. But the rest of them, the large numbers of them, ought to be announced as indicated by the president.
So tell me, for the situation in Zabilla, for example, how do you expect the government to respond? Do you expect that, for example, Madame Victoria will be withdrawn to appease the people who have gone on the violent protest this evening?
Well, I don't think that will be the solution. The president has to put a team together, party and government officials, to go and meet party leaders and talk to them, and then party supporters eventually. I believe that there's always a way out of such situation. The president ought to deal with it at the level of the party and government.
Right, Mr. Chebafor, George Chebafor, we're grateful for your time. George Chebafor is a local governance expert. If you've just joined us, news just coming in, angry of the New Patriotic Party in the Boko West district, Zabilla specifically, in the Upper East region, have vandalized their party office following the appointment of one Madame Victoria Ayamba as a district chief executive of the area. The youth in their protest have vandalized office chairs, tables, including posters of the president and the member of parliament for the area. We have been trying to reach the police, Zabilla Police and Boko District Command, Regional Police Command. They are unwilling to speak to us now, as they tell us they are on the field monitoring the situation. We will be keeping you updated on developments in Zabilla as the news unfolds that some young people have attacked the MEP offices in protest against the appointments of the DC. This is Stephen Enti, and you can hear us live on 3FM 92.7. And if you are in Tamale, this is Kesmin 107.1. We'll be right back with more news.
Are you an entrepreneur with a great business idea? Are you? Everything you need to know. Captivating. Reliable.
President Mahama, who addressed a Durbar of chiefs and people of
credible and breaking news. All at your fingertips.
Who's found Asamoah Gyan?
Welcome back. Now, the Bank of Ghana has expressed uncertainty about the current stability of the cedi. The cedi has gained strength over the dollar and other currencies lately, showing strong signs of recovery. But here is the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has been speaking to the Parliament's Accounts Committee.
What we seek to do every day is not to defend a particular rate, but to act in such a way that the volatilities will be minimized. As for the actual movement in the rates, we should expect to see those. You will see the CD go down to 4.1, comes back to 4.16, but what we don't see is frequent big swings in the amount. The other side of the story is exporters also depend on the positioning of the CD. It hurts their businesses if the CD is too strong. In other words, what economists say, when the CD is misaligned in real terms, that will hurt exports. And so we look at all these numbers, and that is why it's not all the time that you see us reacting when CD is probably moving. We need to be sure that we are encouraging exports, because that is the assurance that we want, that there will be stability going forward. We don't see a return of the kind of extreme volatility we saw in the past. Why? Because the macro is aligning well. The fiscal, yes, it is a problem, but I think that with the assurance got from the budget, etc., we are dead on track. So once that happens, we should be able to attain our objectives, including ensuring a stable exchange rate going forward.
Right, let's speak to economist Dr. John Gatchie, who joins us on telephone lines now. Dr. Gatchie, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. I would like us to seek some further clarity on what the Deputy BOG boss talked about, aligning the city, what that does to the business environment. But let me first start by asking you whether you think that the position of the Bank of Ghana is enough, as it says it cannot guarantee the city's stability.
Well, I think we all do know that the primary obligation of the Bank of Ghana is to ensure price stability, which includes the stability of the city. But in reality, the things that do undermine the stability of the currency do not emanate from the central bank. Most of the time, they emanate from the activities of the executive in terms of their borrowing, in terms of their inability to mobilize enough revenue, and also in terms of poor fiscal management, which in turn undermine monetary policy management and render most of the policy and action of the central bank to ensure stable currency. So that is the reason why the statement made by the deputy governor is correct.
And it's fair also. I mean, apart from being correct, I think that it's fair and that people should not be seeing this as the bank's inability to perform key functions that will lead to stability of the city?
Exactly so, because the central bank doesn't determine how much they want to borrow. The central bank doesn't determine what projects and expenditure they want to do. It is the central government that does that. And most of the time, when you read the Monetary Policy Committee report, all those things are reflected in the report as to how those activities undermine the effort of the central bank. It is left with the central government to take those advice and the policy brief by central bank into what they are doing, moderate on their expenditure, beef up effort at raising enough revenue, moderating borrowing, because all those things have effect on the currency management. It has effect on all the policies that the central bank is putting in place. So the point is that you are giving some job to the central bank to do, but the activities that are undertaken outside the central bank tend to undermine what they are doing, and that's what we need to face.
Right. So, Dr. Gatchie, briefly throw some light on what the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana meant by misalignment of the city in real terms. What he suggests is also sometimes negative to businesses.
Yeah, I think in real terms, if you look at the effect of the CD, as opposed to what the central bank put across sometimes, it's not what happens in the market. And if you look at the effect of the CD on the economy, it's so sensitive to the extent that almost everything that we do is affected by the currency. The volatility of the currency dovetails into the build-up in inflation. It affects pricing across board, the utilities, petroleum products, etc. So that is the reality.
Right. Right, Dr. Gachi, we're grateful for your time. Thanks very much. Dr. Gachi is an economist with the University of Cape Coast. Now, away from that, a 31-year-old farmer, Abdul Salam, has been arrested by the Asankragua police for murdering his 6-year-old son, cutting off his head and legs at Didasi near Amanso Amenfi and Wasa Amenfi of the Western region. Reports are that the boy went missing for a number of days. A search was conducted by the unit committee and members of the community. Upon interrogation, the father, Abdul Salam, is reported to have confessed killing his son. Information have been sketchy on the killing. DSP Owusu Bempah is the Asankragua Divisional Police Commander and is joining us very quickly for some update. So, sir, thank you very much. What exactly is the story regarding the death of this boy?
Yeah, in fact, the way and manner the boy was brutally murdered by the father, in fact, is very, very, very pathetic. The head was cut and then the leg was cut and kept somewhere before the rest of the body was also buried when we retrieved the body. Yeah.
So, at what state, or I don't know whether that's correct, but at what stage of decomposition was the body when you retrieved it?
Oh, the body, it was just, it was not decayed because the boy was murdered only yesterday. And the body was retrieved this morning. So yeah, so the body was.
So what is the father telling you? I'm sure by now he has been under interrogation. What was his influence? Do we know whether he was in a good mental state of mind before conducting this horrible crime?
So far, investigations conducted revealed that the father, yes, he's in a good state of mind. He's a married man with a wife and children. He has 4 children. And the disease is the second born of the father. So I think there may be the desire to become rich quick or something like which compared the man to murder the son. Because when the son was murdered, he cut the head and then the left leg and kept them in a certain bag somewhere, meaning that he intended doing something with this part of the body. Yeah.
Interesting. So I don't know whether this is a regular occurrence in that area. Are people in the habit of money rituals, or this is just one of the odd ones that just happened?
Oh, I've been here for about 3 years, and this is, although there have been few murder cases, 1 or 2 murder cases, but this one is, I think, the most heinous one, because for a father to murder the son is something which I myself don't understand. Yeah.
Right. I know that you're telling me about suspicions that he wanted to use the body parts for money rituals, but what exactly did the police extract from him? What did he tell the police as the motive for murdering his son?
Oh, in fact, that one we don't want to talk much about because he intends sending those parts somewhere. So I hope there are a lot of people ahead for us to arrest. Because, he intends sending the head.
So let's get it right. You suspect that there might be more children at risk, and perhaps there are more people who are lost, missing, and this is what has happened to them. It's very likely.
No, this a father, sending his own son to. No, there has not been a lot of people lost in this area. Right. No, but this one, I think it's 1 out of few cases. Yeah.
Right, DSP Owusu Bempah, we're grateful for your time. A pretty gory note on which to end our bulletin. It's unfortunate that a 31-year-old man murdered his son that way. He decapitated the child, took off his head, cut off his left leg, buried the head at a different place. the leg at a different place and was packaging some of the parts for what the police suspects for these money rituals. You don't have to take care of your little ones when they're out on their own. I'm Stephen Enti, and on that note, we draw the curtains for these at 10. Thank you for staying, and for those who tuned into 3FM, thank you for leaving your dial with us. There's more news at 3news.com. On behalf of the crew, good night.